Good day, great day, grand day to you all. Thank you for joining us again here at Dr. TSA Series, a spiritual discussion. I'm blessed today to have the presence of Percia here joining us at this discussion. Percia had expressed some interest in the YouTube channels, the videos that she's seen thus far, and decided to join us and ask me some questions here on Instagram and YouTube. Welcome, Percia.
Thank you, Dr. Terry.
How are you?
I'm doing good, and I'm very excited for today.
Yeah. I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So tell me, let's get right into it, because I know your time is limited. Tell me what questions you have for me, or maybe we can start with one.
Yeah, so one that I have right now is self-love.
Self-love. Okay, what about self-love?
What is self-love, and how does self-love look like?
So I get this question a lot regarding self-love and how does one really love self. We hear oftentimes that, or I hear personally, self-love, people share with me regarding self-love and say that it's about taking care of self. But what does that really mean? And I want to add a different perspective, again, a spiritual perspective to what self-love really is. In the essence of being a spiritual being, having a physical experience, what self-love really means is being truthful and honest to the core. Showing up for what it is you truly feel in that moment, despite who you're speaking to. Honoring your truth in that moment, despite whether it's a friend, family, or foe. Too often, we tailor our feelings or what it is we want to say, our expressions, to tailor the person that we're speaking to. So that is one example of how we really can appreciate and treat ourselves with love, and that's to honor our truth. Self-love is honoring not only your essence, the spirit that is within you, but self-love also means showing up for self.
How does that look like, showing up for self?
Showing up for self is, I can give you an example. Oftentimes I hear people talk about, I can't say no. I can't say no to someone. I really just can't say no. Everything is yes. No matter how much you really don't want to do something, people just still end up doing that. Showing up for self means if you feel that this is something you cannot do or is not in your spirit's best interest to do at that moment, to say to the person, I really would like to help you right now, but I'm in a space where I cannot help you in this moment. And we don't have to get into specifics. We don't have to pressure ourselves to give an answer to someone. First of all, they may not understand or appreciate it. If you just say no straight off the bat, it may come off, or someone may perceive it as such. But to honor your space, to honor your truth, to show up for self means to do exactly what it is you're feeling in the moment. Self-love also means when you are feeling a certain way, or when you're experiencing emotions and feelings, allowing yourself to go through them. When we suppress our feelings, when we suppress our emotions, when we don't want to feel all of the funk, we're not showing ourselves love. We're not loving ourselves. It's important to understand that we show up just as we are, in how we're feeling, in what it is we're feeling, in what it is we want to express, and how it is we want to express. I know that was a mouthful, but did you want to ask a clarifying question, or did you have any responses to what I'd shared?
I have a couple of responses. My idea of self-love was I get to go out. I get to spend time with myself, but going out, buying clothes and just going traveling. And I realized that when the traveling was done and I was back home, I was still sad. I was still needing somebody there for me, in a sense, and always going outside and looking for that love and that necessity of just being with somebody or being cared for, like how movies have portrayed that, how somebody's supposed to love you and never, like the spirit, like what you share now, never really sitting there and experience your feelings, whatever that looks like. And when you said that, one thing that came up to me is like one of the feelings of like, I'm guilty about something. When that comes up, and really like, I don't want to think about it because I'm not guilty, they make me do it, I'm not guilty, I'm not guilty, I'm not guilty. Sitting through those feelings, that means that I'm loving myself right there.
So you bring up several different points in that, and thank you for that question. That's an important question. So let me just make sure that I understand it correctly. You're saying that self-love to you, at first you mentioned going out, shopping, buying stuff, doing stuff for yourself, doing stuff by yourself and for yourself. And that is there's two ways to look at that. That is an outward expression, yes, of self-love. But the question is, what is the intention? Is the intention to run away from what it is we're feeling and a way to distract ourselves from what it is we're feeling? Or are we treating and spoiling ourselves with love? Are we taking care of, for example, a lot of people like to shop. Fine, there's nothing wrong with that. But again, it's the intention behind that. Are you going out for self to avoid those feelings? Or are you going out for self and wanting to take care of the car that your spirit is riding in? So for example, this is the analogy. Your body is the car that your spirit drives, right? So are we going out to dress the car and to make sure the car is looking good? Because that is important too when you are taking care of self. But where is the intention? Is it to avoid, or is it to remain centered and care for self? And I think, and I'm hesitant to say that I sense that, again, the intention of what it is we're doing is important to look at. I don't want to say exclusively, oh no, when you're going out and you're buying stuff and that it's not beneficial. That's not accurate, right? It's the intention behind that. What is it that we're really doing? And are we doing something that we feel, or are we running towards our essence? Are we acknowledging and experiencing our essence through these activities? Or are we trying to avoid what we're really feeling inside? You mentioned another point, and correct me if I'm wrong. You mentioned, going out and doing stuff for people, and you go and do it irrespective of what it is you feel, but you go out and do it anyway, and then later on, you said that you would feel guilty. Did I understand that right? Okay. So that's a perfect example of not honoring your spirit when your spirit says, when your essence says, not right now. Stay home, relax, and be with self, versus having to answer that call of duty. Someone that's always asking you for favors, or someone that you just can't say no to. If you are honest with yourself and you want to show self-love to self, you have to listen to your essence. And that means if someone calls you asking you for a favor, you're going to say, I would love to, but I can't. Or you would say, you know what, I'm in the middle of something. I really can't do that at the moment. Maybe if you give me some advance notice later on, I may have been able to do it, but right now I'm unable to do it. My apologies, I'm sorry, and then let it go. But you have to always answer to self. That is part of showing self-love. Honoring your essence, honoring your feelings in that moment, and not not going against that because of the perception that I just can't say no, or because of the perception, oh, but this person needs me. Honoring spirit knows best. Your essence knows best in that moment, and you have to honor it. You brought up a very, very important question, and that's something that I'm not able to fully flush out in this moment, but it's definitely something we can talk about further, because there are different and several nuances to your question.
Thank you for that, Dr. Terry.
You're welcome.
When you mentioned like the intention behind the whole like traveling, going outside, buying clothes, for me, my intentions were to get out, to have experiences that were just right there in the moment, nothing else, just like temporary work. So it looks a lot for me now, after what you shared, that self-love looks like putting boundaries.
Absolutely.
I had this idea that putting boundaries was wrong. You cannot put boundaries to your family, to your friends, you know, your friend always being there. So I guess for me right now, listening to you, it's like thinking back of like moments where putting boundaries felt so bad, but when I used to go home after I went out, it's like, why didn't I just say no?
Great point. Self-love is putting boundaries, putting self first. Because if you don't put yourself first, no one else will. Or some people may perceive that as being selfish, but you are honoring your spirit first. You never know why your spirit says to you, no, don't do this now. Your spirit has a plan for you in that moment. Maybe you're supposed to receive a message from your spirit in an hour or so, or what have you. Your conscious mind doesn't know that. We don't know if spirit is trying to protect us from an event that is around the corner if we were to leave our home. We don't know any of that. But what we do know, and what you are responsible for, is honoring your spirit in that moment. So boundaries, yes, putting your spirit first, and then understanding and being honest and true to that self, honoring those requests, honoring that gut, honoring what it is you feel in the moment.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Was that it?
For now, yes.
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 Thank you. I appreciate you coming here today. I really, really do. I would definitely love to ask you to come back.
I would love to come back.
Yeah, awesome. So that was our segment on a spiritual discussion here with Percia. I want to thank you all for watching. I want to remind you all to be well, and remember that you're loved. Namaste. All the best.